Broadcasting live from Care Keep on the plain of Dominaria, this is Tap Tap Concede. Welcome. I'm Graham.
I'm Ben.
I'm Cameron.
And I'm Nelson.
Ooh, we did it in alphabetical order.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Oh,
We should do that,
Except for Graham.
Graham. Well, I mean, like, but you're anchoring.
I was talking
Yeah.
first, yeah. I jumped
New
the
rule.
alphabet Q, yeah, exactly.
Everyone who's ever on Tap Tap, you better damn well have watched this episode.
It works if Ben's not here for it to be alphabetical order. But
Aye, bye.
Now
Yeah.
you're in charge, I guess.
Congrats, yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
everyone, I hope you're enjoying Ben's last episode of Tap Tap Concede.
Well, at least I got to spend it in our brand spanking new studio.
Where the heck are we?
yeah.
Did we move? Are we on a new moon base? It's on the actual moon?
Well, this is actual Keep.
Yeah.
They renovated
right.
recently.
They let us
Here
into
in
Care
Karakeet.
Keep for one episode of Tap Tap. That's right.
We are, very excited about this. Actually, we are in the same. We are in the same physical space that we've been previously, but we
No.
finally. Yeah, I know it doesn't look it. We've finally got around to actually renovating this particular studio, because when we moved into Moonbase Mark V, it was like a year and a half ago, more than a year and a half ago now. We had a plan for studios A and C, and B was like, well, here's the wall, and you can't paint this wall without sanding it down, and the painters can do that, but it's a little expensive, and so maybe we just use this wall. Looks fine, sure.
Yeah,
What do we
it's a
put on
natural
it?
wood.
Well, we have some acoustic foam. Let's glue that to the wall and put
there was
a TV
a shelf
up.
here before. We had a shelf.
Yeah, there was a shelf, which wasn't there at the beginning either.
No, you guys put that in.
Yeah, and the whole thing was shifted. We were like off center in the room because we had it lined up for where the plywood panels were, so that didn't look weird. And anyway, the point is,
This is probably super great for all the people audio listening.
well, that's the other improvement we've made is
Right,
that
yeah.
we were like, well, this is our podcast studio, and the audio fidelity is maybe not as good as it could be because we're using the lapel mics, which are great for some things, but not for others. And so now we have these wonderful podcasting microphones that hopefully
You've
will
noticed.
improve the. I mean, you might not notice unless we point it out, but if you go listen to last episode and this one, then maybe you'll notice a difference there. So
Compare
hopefully,
and contrast.
yeah.
Yeah, what previous episode was like, I'm broadcasting to you from deep inside this aluminum can. And this one is just mellifluous. Call me Ishmael.
Very
There it
nice.
is. Unintentional ASMR.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
get
got the
ready.
best of everything in
Get
here.
ready. And this is also our ASMR
Well,
studio,
about to open
obviously.
about to crack a pack and everything. So.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this was shout-outs, by the way, to James and Beej and Paul for all the work to get this room up to what it looks like now. More improvements to come because we're getting a different table for this, but we had to record now. And the other thing is, by recording now, I mean 10 minutes, because we got a little delayed, before Wizards is announcing Modern Horizons, which we only know because of a leak this morning. So I might later in the podcast, while Ben's doing his section, I might be on my phone trying to look up some trivia.
Yeah, so stay tuned for some sweet knowledge maybe
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because today on the
That
show,
you would have found out 3 days ago.
Yeah.
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 Today on the show, we have Ben here because frequently for our Commander games on the Friday night paper fight on our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/LoadingReadyRun, Ben makes Commander decks for people. You know, people are like, I don't actually have a Commander deck for this or whatever, and Ben will very keenly be like, I can brew you something.
It's my jam. It's
Yeah.
my favorite format.
And a lot of people have been asking, what's your system for that? What's your collection look like? How do you do that? And so basically Ben's going to be talking about how he's brews his Commander decks for our weekly streams. Before that, of course, we're going to crack a pack. We're also going to do a little bit of Magic news updates. But first, very quickly, as a reminder, this show is brought to you by CardKingdom.com. Please check out CardKingdom.com/LRR for all of your Card Kingdom needs. Card Kingdom, they've just announced they're opening a new location in Portland.
Whoa, good for
Yes.
them. That's
I'm
awesome.
very excited about it.
Hot.
Very, very exciting news for them. And of course, this show and everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. So, let's start with a crack-a-pack and sort of knock our way through it fairly quickly.
We've got a packed show
Let's
today.
get Cameron
Yeah.
to roll the die.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Which I don't know.
All
I
right.
don't know where we store it now.
Daddy needs a new bolt of lightning.
Whoop.
Goodbye.
Okay,
Paul,
have
can
to
you see
ask
it?
Paul, what number that came up? Because no.
Ooh,
Two.
two.
Okay. Now, Graham's going to get it out. Ben's going to
God.
pass it to me.
Hilarious.
We got to do it. We rolled the 2.
What?
What is
Okay.
this?
This is from Gil and Sarah from Lincoln, Nebraska. It was sent to us in mail time.
No.
And this is Italian Homelands. L'Origini.
Oh no. Okay, well we'll do 2 cracker packs. This one will be real quick. Here, wait.
Actually, this will be great because it's nice and short.
I had a bottle of
perfect.
Orangini yesterday. It was really
Here, get
nice.
Ben to pass to me, and I'll do the ASMR stuff.
All right, go for
on
it.
this new microphone.
All right.
No, Ben's got to touch it. We've all got to take part. That's part of the community of ASMR, right?
Oh, the lick.
Oh, the lick,
is.
dude.
You got to get your tongue in there for the acoustics. Here you go. Now you can touch that.
Are we doing this in stereo? Like, is Cam coming in through one ear and
I
then
hope
like
so.
Nelson's in the
No,
other?
Paul's shaking his
Mixed
head.
in
There
mono.
we go. All right.
Mixed in mono. Just like I
Rysorian
just
Badger. Sorry, I was very excited about Rysorian Badger, which I recognized because
for
it's
you.
a badger.
Did. Good for you for
Actually,
recognizing
it's
it.
Tasso di Rysorian. So it's a 2/2 for 2 and a green badger.
Is he laying out a sick riff?
It looks
Yeah.
like he's like drumming hard.
Yeah.
He's drumming on
Well, he's
that
got his
skull.
hands in like power guitar mode, but
This
then
is-
he's
this
also got drumsticks on his skull.
This is on brand for the new Pokemon announcement too. With
Yeah,
Ruki and his
he
little
looks like
stick.
he's really straining to see the screen for Rock Band.
Yeah.
That everyone else is like standing up.
because the drums are the biggest part of like the whole like endeavor of playing. So they're like, you know, you're playing in your bedroom, you've got to be on the opposite side of the bed. The rest of the people get to sit on the bed, but you've got to like look from behind there.
So if Rysorian Badger attacks and is not blocked, you may choose to have it deal no damage to defending player.
Love it already.
Oh, boy.
If you
Yeah.
do, exile from the game up to 2 target creatures
wow.
from that player's graveyard. Gain 1 life for each creature removed this way.
Boy
What
needs a
I've
double
actually-
kick.
Yeah.
I've
An
never
odd
seen this
functionality.
before. And it's kind of like early scavenging ooze, right?
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not
Okay.
a good card like scavenging ooze, but it has some of the same words on it.
Aeson Crusader?
I
Sounds
would
right.
agree with that.
Sounds right.
Crociato de Aeson. 2 white for a Aeson Crusader. All right. 2 white for a 2+ star, 2+ star. Aeson Crusader has power and toughness each equal to 2 plus the number of heroes you control. I believe that would now be templated as just a 2/2 with a static ability of gets +1/+1 for each hero you control.
Likely.
Yeah.
Because it has a characteristic defining ability that starts with two.
Wasn't there
So
a
that's
card
weird.
very similar to this in Dominaria? A knight that got a bonus.
Banalish.
Yeah, Banalish Marshall? No,
It
not
just
Nar-
pumps
not
power.
Marshall.
There's a common that
Okay.
pumps for every.
Legendary.
Not just legendary,
Yeah,
right? Historic permanent? Or
Banalish
is it only
is
legendary?
legendary.
It is just
Legendary,
legendary, isn't it? Yeah.
Banalish Honor Guard, I think.
Right,
It was
that
plus.
sounds-
It was +1/+0. But yeah.
So this also, I guess, is a knight.
it's now its power and toughness are equal to 2 plus the number of soldiers and warriors you control.
Whoa.
That's actually
That
a
got
pretty
way
big-
better.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
I
actually
think.
I guess they
awesome.
looked at it and they were like, "Wait a minute, heroes aren't a thing."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's probably a couple heroes in this set, but probably not very many.
And he's a human knight.
Interesting. It's
Yeah, I was
also,
also gonna say it looks like a knight. So.
yeah, it's also got flavor text from part of the Sengir family.
Oh, there you go.
A renegade rallying the rabble does not a true crusader make, says Irene, horrifying-looking Sengir. Hey, folk of Anhava, or Popolo de Anhava.
Oh yeah.
It's a 1/1 for a
Having a
single
good
green.
time.
And having a good time. Wow. It's a 1/1 for a single green. If assigned as a blocker, folk of Anhava get +2/+0 until end of turn. So,
They're just unhappy to be here.
Oh my
goodness.
god.
Mystifying Maze, or Labyrinto Oscuro, right? That's Mystifying Maze, isn't it? Something Maze.
I just want everyone to know that that alert notification, if you heard it on my phone, was the announcement for Magic.
okay.
Modern Horizons going live.
No, I see.
Okay, Mystifying Maze is a card. That sounds right. It's
Okay.
like a 4-drop, 4/4.
Yeah,
something?
4 and a blue
Yeah.
for a 4/4.
5-drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And
maybe
it-
Mystifying Labyrinth.
We're going to talk about the announcement once we're finished with this pack of Homelands. But since you sent it in,
Yeah, now we have to do it.
Yeah.
No, it's
Obscure maze? Labyrinth?
I can't
Mystifying
remember.
is like a word that goes into Magic card
It's
names.
not,
It's the problem is that the reader isn't accepting the art for
Can I
some
see it?
reason.
I can't see it.
Oscuro.
I own one of these, or I did.
the implicit maze.
Mystifying Maze is a thing.
No, that's the thing, but it's a
not
land.
I'm going to say Obscure Labyrinth.
No, it's not. It's
Hidden
just like
Labyrinth.
Dark Maze. I think. Try
Oh,
Dark
it might
Maze.
actually just be Dark Maze.
Yeah.
Did we just no sell it here?
It cannot be found. All right, we'll come back to
not
that.
Dark Maze.
We'll come back to that. I'll move on. Hey,
I'm gonna try and
it's
find
Memory Lapse.
There you go.
Oh, this is a
Real
fun art
card.
for it, too.
Yeah, Memory Lapse.
Yep.
Oh, what?
I was
Yep,
right.
what?
It is Dark Maze.
It is Dark Maze?
Ah.
Okay, we have the different art.
Yeah.
It's still by Rob Alexander, but it's slightly different, but almost the same
It's
art.
that person's standing up.
Yeah, Rob Alexander's gorgeous taiga is in a different part of the background of this card and the different arts. Yeah.
So yeah, 4 and a blue for a 4/5 maze wall, and for no mana, it has an activated 0 mana ability that Dark Maze can attack this turn. At the end of your turn, exile it, and it can't. It doesn't have haste. It can't attack the turn it comes in under control. I assume that just means you may attack with it. No, because it's still a wall, and all walls have defender. Paul, does this card currently have defender, and
Yes.
does it still have the activated ability?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's
Weird.
Defender, activated ability, Dark Maze can attack this turn as though it doesn't have Defender, exile at the beginning of the next end step.
And
It's actually kind of not a terrible limited card, right?
Yeah, no.
I've actually run it when
Yeah.
I played that terrible Homelands limited.
Yeah, no, it seems fine. It's just like a cool wall that then helps you alpha, right?
So yes, memory lapse, voto di memoria, 1 and a blue for an instant counter target spell. If a spell is countered this way, it goes back into the top of their library.
That's right.
Great, got there. It's not on screen yet, but this is the one with the woman with the puzzle piece
It's
hair,
a puzzle hair.
as opposed to the
phrenology
the
statue.
The phrenology statue going
of the guy going,
yeah, the phrenology statue making the dead ass face.
or the very first sound of a very bad word.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, that's the F noise.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to cast. I was really hoping to resolve that spell, and now it's.
Cemetery Gate.
Yep.
Cemetery
That sounds right.
Portcullis.
Cemetery Gate.
Two-
Another wall.
Cemetery Gate, yeah. 2 and a black
Pro
for
black.
a 05 wall with pro black.
Neat.
Cool.
Because there's all those black removal spells from them that can target a black creature.
Alchemista Bianco.
White
Bianco.
Alchemist.
Has a 2-white activated ability.
Oh, Samite Alchemist.
Oh,
Samite.
Samite.
Oh,
Alchemist.
interesting.
Oh,
Okay. So 3 and a white for an 02 Alchemista. And white, and tap, prevent
4 damage.
4 damage to a creature you control.
That
Tap
sounds
that
right.
creature. That creature doesn't untap during its next untap step. Is that what I'm reading here in Italian?
Hot diggity.
I think that was a
White
pretty-
tap, prevent the next 4 damage that would be dealt this turn to target creature you control. Tap that creature, doesn't untap.
Hey, all right.
Doing it.
Basically, I read Italian now.
That's really good. I believed it.
Also, Alchemista Blanco sounds like they just changed the translation where they didn't want to have like the Samite in the name, unless Blanco.
It's Bianco.
Oh, Bianco.
Bianco.
Oh, okay, so that is a place name then. I thought maybe it was Blanco, just like White Alchemist.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if my newfound knowledge of Italian can help me translate this last card. Chandler.
Oh, we got a card with Chandler like written
Monica!
in the flavor text.
Yeah.
Monica.
Man.
Yeah, Chandler's a piece of the magic lore.
Yeah. 4 and a
Joey.
red. 4 and a red for a 3/3 legendary creature with red tap. Destroy target artifact creature.
Artifact creature.
And he's buddies with Joven. They both went to school together and then dropped out or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
You can learn from the flavor text.
There's
of
a lot.
Homelands.
There's a lot going on.
Cube April knows more than me about these characters. She was pretty
That
great
sounds
to
like
have as a
something she would do,
resource.
yeah.
Just like go for beers with Cube April, and she will tell you all about the Homelands era lore. She knows.
What's your first pick there?
I mean,
I think I probably take the just the knight or memory lapse.
yeah, I agree with that. Honestly.
Are we drafting like
Yeah,
8 packs of this in a row
Say
or
you're
something?
in terrible Homelands draft, which I've done a couple times.
Yeah.
It's actually been pretty fun because the power level is fairly balanced. The Minotaur Pinger.
Engram.
Haba Shaman, maybe? Or
Thank you. Yeah, the shaman. The Anaba shaman is a stone cold bomb.
I think I'm pretty
in Homelands.
I'm pretty in
draft.
on Dark Maze here. Like Memory Lapse is a good card too, but in
Yeah.
Limited it gets worse.
That's true.
Yeah.
The faster your format, the better Memory Lapse is.
Yeah, I
Also-
think Dark Maze might actually be the pick.
Bear in mind if you're at an 8-person draft table, you don't wheel anything.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Homelands.
Or do you just cut red and take Chandler?
Well, I don't know.
I mean,
5 mana 3/3.
how many artifact creatures are in this set?
Let's not worry about it and move on.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Let's move on to much more newer and more exciting Magic. If you haven't checked out at least the top 8 of the Mythic Championship that happened last weekend. You owe it to yourself to do that. So this was the first Mythic Championship, formerly the Pro Tour. The language surrounding that was kind of difficult for people to navigate all weekend, because it was like, is this Mythic Championship Cleveland or is this Mythic Championship 1? Because it is, and the hashtag was hashtag 2019 MC1, which is a heck of a mouthful.
Yeah.
And like LSV made his 10th top 8 at a tournament of this level. And so it's like, wait, so is this which is sort of how they described it, is his 10th top 8 at a tournament of this level, because it's like,
They said
You
at
can't
one point
say-
they definitely said it's his 10th Mythic Championship top 8.
yeah, so
Someone
they're
said
sort
that
of
on coverage.
retroactively referring
Yeah.
to Pro Tour, because
It's
like,
like revisionist history on the
people's
name of the Pro
records still
Tour.
matter, right? Like
Right,
you can't
of
just be
course.
like,
We've renamed the thing.
yeah, you can't be, well,
Yeah, it's
LSV, has his first Mythic top 8. It's like, well,
Yeah, like if you haven't, okay, so we're spoiling this, right? Like we already just spoiled that LSV made top 8. You should end our podcast now and go watch all.
yeah,
of
if
it
you don't want to be
can,
spoiled, go
because we're
watch
gonna
it.
spoil
but
the whole
we're-
rest of it right now.
We're going to talk about it.
So yeah,
'cause-
it's like they gave Autumn Lily like props for winning the first Mythic Championship in some places, maybe not on coverage, but like on Twitter or whatever. Like, and I think they deserve that.
yeah,
But then also it's like LSV's 10th top 8 of a Mythic Championship. That one bothers me, right? Where it's just like, yes, he deserves those accolades. I just wish they could say like, here he is in the top 8 of the first Mythic Championship. Also, he top 8'd 9 Pro Tours.
Yeah.
Like, I think what was going on, they talked about it a bit as like a swear jar every time you say Pro Tour on the coverage, because they're really trying to just like push saying Mythic Championship.
Yeah.
I could see
But
that.
the problem is like, and that's and they have an entire person's job, right? Like Rich Hagon is the Pro Tour historian, although I'm sure now he's the Mythic Championship
I
historian,
mean,
which is
technically-
fine.
Technically, BDM was the Pro Tour historian.
Oh, was it BDM who was the
Yeah.
Pro Tour historian? Okay, sorry, I got those two confused.
whose
Not-
presence will be sorely
That's
missed
right.
on coverage.
That's right. What was Rich Hagon's job? Did he have another one? I
Like,
thought
he's
just a
the like the
commentator?
he's the
Okay.
he does a lot of the behind the scenes work on coverage.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm just so used to hearing him like spout facts about someone's
I
record
mean,
or history.
It's not like he doesn't know.
Yeah,
all the Pro
okay,
Tour
fair
history.
enough. Okay, yeah. If they're now that BDM's gone, maybe Rich Hagon will be the official Mythic Championship historian. But it's like it just feels weird to call the past events Mythic Championships when that's not what they were called, right? Like, so that I found that very jarring.
Yeah.
that they were doing that. But I get kind of where they're coming from. I think what it is just that they didn't want to say Pro Tour, because if they talk about past Pro Tours, everyone's going to be talking about the current event they're in as a Pro Tour.
Yeah.
So that I believe that's their out, but it still felt like really weird to me.
All of that said, the best part of the weekend was the games and the games and coverage. Specifically, if you don't have like 3 days of VODs to watch, that's understandable. But do go watch the top 8 matches, because it was just a full afternoon of excellent magic. And the winner of the day of the event, the winner of our hearts, Autumn Burchett, Autumn Lily MTG, as you said, just crushed it. Was amazing. And the last best of 5 against Ikawa was just such good game, like really entertaining, like gripping viewing.
Yeah, high level magic.
And then just such a wonderful emotional moment at the end when she actually won, and Emma Handy ran
just
in
like-
and just almost cleaned her out with this like tackle hug.
Yeah, clean them out. Yeah, it was like, the very first fatality almost on stream. Right?
Yeah.
I found both Autumn's matches and Reed's, just like everyone who was playing Mono Blue.
I just spilled
top
coffee
8.
all over myself, which is my punishment for messing up Autumn's pronoun, and I apologize for that.
I don't know if they're that powerful, but
It
yeah.
depends on whether or not they're wearing the hat.
Yeah,
Right.
the hat's strong.
Fair enough. Maybe they're wearing the hat right now.
Well, that mono blue deck is really wonderfully interactive.
Well, I just felt like after I watched Reed and Autumn play it, I was like, I don't know what this deck is about at all. And I have played it a whole bunch on Arena.
That's the
and like
thing.
my win rate's okay with it even, but I just like watch them. I'm like, why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do that there? Why are you doing that? Why are you just saying go? What's happening?
Yeah,
Right?
the lines on that deck, like on the surface, that deck looks like a mono blue aggro-y sort of.
Yeah, like classic tempo, stick an early threat and then protect it. And then I just saw Reed like with a handful of good creatures at one point, just like saying go and waiting for, I don't know, his 4th or 5th land draw before he did anything.
Yeah.
So that was neat. Yeah, it was a clinic and great games.
I think it also just like what really lent the strength of just that top 8, on top of seeing really, really good play, is it just showed how cool Standard is slowly becoming. I think. You know,
I think it's been pretty good for a little while.
It
But
has been, but the major shift, honestly, the noticeable shift for me has been post M19. Like that's where the play design team, I think, has their efforts are really, really shining a little bit. We're getting out of things like we're out of the Kaladesh, out of the Hour of Devastation, Amonkhet sort of style of Magic, which
The
was
energy
just like,
has rotated.
energy's gone. And now since then, M19 brought in a couple of things. I didn't expect to see a Grixis Dragons list come out of that whole thing, and it did, and it was wild. But there are just so many cool decks that are viable and strong, and obviously there are, as with every single one, top tier contenders on it. But even the ones that dominate the format can still be beat by these other decks that people are bringing in, as well as if you watch a mono blue tempo, like Reed versus Autumn, it was still like a super fun thing to watch. It's not the mono red aggro v mono red aggro that we've seen in a lot of like top 8s in the past couple of years. Not to say that those aren't also interesting, but like it was just really cool. Like I'm super stoked as a Standard player for Standard right now.
I like that, for example, LSV's deck. And this is not a dig on Ravnica Allegiance, but I actually found it very amusing that his deck had no cards from the latest set. His deck was a standard deck that existed when Guilds of Ravnica was the standard format.
He got to play one Blood Crypt. He played a Blood Crypt.
Oh, that's true.
That was
He
it.
did
He
play
mained a Blood Crypt,
he
but I
played
think
one Blood Crypt.
I think
you're
his
right.
other 74 were legal in December.
Yeah. And I think that speaks to what you're saying, that this health of the format, that it's like, oh, I actually don't need these cards. I can just build this really cool competitive deck just from what existed before. I found that very interesting. Also, that deck was super fun to watch.
Yeah, that deck's great.
The reanimating all the Arclight Phoenixes.
Yeah. Yeah, Arclight Phoenix is a really neat card, making splashes in Modern as well. But, yeah.
So definitely check out the Mythic Championship if you haven't. The Mythic Invitational is coming up at PAX East, and I'll be there, not at the Invitational, but at PAX East. So I'm very curious to check that out and see what the sort of the public can see there at the Mythic Invitational. So the Mythic Championship was very much like a Pro Tour. You had to do all the same sort of qualifying. The Invitational is all the members of the Magic Pro League. So it's 64 players, 32 members of the Magic Pro League, 24 invitees, of which Autumn happened to already be one, which is entertaining, because someone after the Mythic Championship win, someone was like, "Look out, they're coming for your $1 million." And then the 8 top ranked players on Arena. So people are really getting on their grind on Magic Arena.
Well, at time of filming, the grind has just ended like an hour and a half ago, but they haven't released who the top 8 is. And people have their screenshots of like what their rank was displayed as at noon Pacific or whatever. But we were also told like a month ago when this announcement was made, or just over a month, that what your rank says might not be what your rank really is when you get cut up. So everyone's just sweating to find out who's in that top 8, right?
Yeah, I saw on my timeline like half an hour ago 2 tweets from 2 different people with screenshots of them at number one.
Whatever, number
right?
1, yeah.
So it's I've heard that it is a little bit of a it's very stressful sort of grind. I'm curious to see if this is the process that they'll stick with it to do.
Yeah, I saw a tweet of one of the name pros that had only slept for 1 hour last night, and like as kind of this week happened, like day of filming is February 28th in the afternoon, and they told us like noon, I think Pacific time, is like when the cutoff is for these 8 invites to go to the Mythic Invitational, and like you got to figure a lot of these challengers are like because if you were top 100 at the beginning of the week, maybe you like rearrange your schedule so that like these last 3 days or 4 days or whatever it is, you just like glue yourself to your computer.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's other strategies that are better. I don't know. Maybe you're just supposed to get in 6 good hours a day or something. I don't. I also read a pretty good article by Jeff Cunningham this week that was talking about his experiences at Grand Prix Vancouver in December, and how on the first day he played badly because he hadn't like slept well or eaten well or done his morning routine, and then the second day he played on the Friday at a PTQ, and then the day one of the main event he played much better. And so it's gotta be stressful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to that's the thing right now, that I'm curious to see what they do with Arena and its laddering system in general.
Right.
For somebody like me who I think it'd be neat to be able to go do like the Mythic Championship or whatever. Like, right, like I think anybody who plays it would be stoked to do it. Of
course.
But like for me, I'm just like, I'd like to get to Mythic. I'm like Platinum 1, I think, right now.
Nice.
But as it stands right now, there's no, if you're not interested in that, there's no reason to grind besides going, hey, look at this, right? You get rewards.
Yeah.
But
They're
curious
pretty
to see,
minimal.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what more they do with that. I know this is sort of now just sidetracked into a conversation about Arena in general.
I was hoping to talk about that today if we have time, talking about the path to the Pro Tour, because there's been a big announcement since the last time we've had news.
I'm curious to see how they sort of expand on this beyond just being like a keep playing until maybe you get the opportunity to go to these Mythic championships and stuff. Like what else do they have to offer to somebody who just wants to rank up, grind and stuff like that, and maybe get some kind of cool rewards for it?
Because right now, when a season ends, or at least when this preseason ends, the rewards are, and the rewards are separate for constructed and for limited. So because you have 2 different ranks, it's basically 1,000 gold and a booster pack like per level essentially. So like if you're at gold, it's 1,000 gold and 2 packs. If you're at platinum, it's 3. If you're at diamond, it's 4, and if you're at mythic, it's 5. But it's still just 1,000 gold and then 5 of the 8 card boosters, and it's like, okay.
It's neat.
I'm not gonna.
Between the lines here is it's nothing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, like I mean, but for
I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, I'm still like sweet, but like for
When
somebody
you find
like
$1 on the floor, you pick it up.
yeah, like that's what it equates to, right? It's like I'm somebody who at this point it is very rare that I open a pack and it doesn't just flip over and say here's 20 gems, right? So it's like that's all that sort of means, I guess, and it's like it'd be cool. Honestly, all you got to do to reel me in is bring out some cosmetic.
Yeah, I'm surprised they aren't giving us sleeves. Yeah, if you
give
make
us
mythic
card
at the end,
backs.
give us card backs. Sure, yeah.
Border things like I mean, a lot of these different games will just give like little baby cosmetic things like that I'd be like
New basics.
Yeah,
They're definitely playing around with card backs, because the Christmas Popper event and the recent Valentine's Day Popper event both had
that's right.
special card backs.
Oh, right.
Only during those events, but they're definitely sort of dipping their toe into that realm.
yeah, and you can see them working on it, especially with the rewards for those too, right? We're getting the different cosmetic versions of like the different versions of the cards.
Those are sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, like the full art Llanowar elves, full art Gahalta and stuff like that. I think are really neat.
Regret not grinding for my Llanowar elves.
I got the Llanowar elves. I didn't get Gahalta, and as somebody who likes to grind with Gruul and mono green Stompy, I'm a little peeved at myself because I got one.
You had to 5-1, right?
Yeah, and I've got one of the Gahaltas, and there have been times where I'm just like, maybe I should only run one Gahalta in this list because they're not all going to be matching.
Because you got to mismatch it with the regular one. Yeah.
Which also, just because we're still on it, shout out to Autumn for running the mismatched basics.
Yeah, the
islands.
Chaos.
Oh, that was so good.
They're not the only one who does that.
No, but
but
it was just in the spotlight.
But they got the most spotlight. Yeah.
There was no matching card in that land in that deck, was there?
No.
I think they had the full set, right? Yeah.
Good.
It was
Lord.
beautiful.
There were many people tilting out about it. It was pretty great.
Yeah,
so much.
Yeah, like the white bordered lands were also just like.
So yeah, if you're following and you're casually grinding, or you're kind of serious, what they did in February was the top 8 slots get only unconstructed get an invitation to the Mythic Invitational coming up at PAX East in Boston, and then in March and April, everyone who comes in the top 1,000 Mythic of constructed or limited gets a token that invites them to the Mythic Championship qualifier weekend on Arena. So that event will be like, it's 2 days long, and it'll have up to 4,000 people, but probably realistically more like 3,200 or something, because they're only giving these tokens out, one per account to anyone who is top 1,000 on either, and lots of people will be top 1,000 on both, right? And then also there's 2 months, but there's probably going to be the same people obviously playing Magic on both. So it might be it could be less than 2,000 people even.
Are people from the MPL excluded because they're already going to get in?
That's a great question. I don't think it's specifically answered in the article that announced it.
Alexander Hayne.
Yeah, he got up to number 1.
Was number
month, right?
1
Yeah.
in Constructed, meaning that he would get invited to the Mythic Invitational, except he's already going because he's in the MPL.
They haven't said if they'll pass it down to 9th or something.
They'd better.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I'd be
Who
so
else
mad.
is going?
Yeah. I'd be, if I
So
was
you're
number
9th,
9
then
and
you don't get to go,
Hayne
yeah.
was number 1 and I don't get to go, I'd be so mad.
I don't think Hayne was still number 1. Well, maybe he is, but
Maybe he was. Anyway.
So that's what's happening in the next 2 months, and then foreseeably there will be 3. So there's gonna be 3 Arena Mythic Championships this year, and maybe there's just enough time left that each one will have a 2-month qualifying season. But that is the other like reward they've promised besides the 5 packs. It's just the chance to get to play on this massive PTQ that has 16 invites. I think it's like on those weekends, it's the whole top 16 out
That's
of.
not bad.
Yeah, it's something. I mean, it still breaks down the chance to connect.
Well, 'cause
there's
there's
still like
still-
a big PTQ,
Because
but
they're still running the Magic Online events, right?
Yeah, those two. Well, those are
Like the
separate,
mocks?
right? So the Magic Online mocks can qualify you for. I mean, I just reread the article, but maybe I missed it. I think mocks can just qualify you for a paper Pro Tour like Mythic Championship,
Right.
of which there will be 3 more this year, right? But the Magic Arena is going to have its own championships too.
Right.
So that's how they've changed. The other thing about Path to Pro Tour that's changed that I really noticed as like kind of a serious grinder this year is that they ended PPTQs at the beginning of the year, which I glossed over. I think everyone kind of glossed over. Means like that there's a whole, because it's just going back to regular PTQs that qualify you for the next season. There's a season that in the middle that we're almost out of now, that the first quarter of 2019 just has nothing going on.
Right.
And I was partly blaming that on, like, I thought there was going to be something happening right at the end of March or something, because there would need to be PTQs, and they just haven't announced how you're getting to the next Pro Tour if you're grinding and try and qualify. But actually, it's like, no, this is when the PPQs would be happening for a season that doesn't need any PPQs. So it's like this season hasn't had much for you if you're looking for like a local or regional event anywhere in the world, but next season will start to, and then they should start to have 150 PTQs around the world, like for each season, which still isn't much. You're gonna have to travel more than you did before. Yeah.
All right. One more thing before we finally get into that.
I think we specified that this is going to be a jam-packed episode.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
got so much to talk about.
So it's now 2:22. So I have just enough information to talk about Modern Horizons, having now been announced. So Modern Horizons, it's a new set. It's being released on June 14th. And as suspected by people when the name Modern Horizons was spoiled this morning, it is going to skip standard completely and go straight into modern legality, which is people have kind of wanted this to happen for a while. And so, of course, if it's legal in modern, it should obviously be also legal in legacy and vintage, unless certain
Not true of all
certain-
cards,
certain
but
things
yeah.
get banned.
Yeah.
It features both reprints and new cards.
That's wild.
yeah.
Okay.
And the reprints are also new to modern.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
so we could see Flusterstorm in Modern.
So there's no reprints of cards that are already in modern. Yeah.
Right. Baleful Strix is coming to modern.
Ooh.
Right?
That could be cool. And it's going to be
Shardless
sold.
Agent.
It's going to be sold
Yeah.
in boosters and is designed to be drafted.
Him to Turak is
Oh.
coming to modern.
Good.
Whoa.
The draft
Just
part
kidding.
is pretty key. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ritual
Okay.
is coming to
There's going to be a pre-release weekend on June 8th and 9th. There will be a buy box promo. It will also be a new to modern reprint, and it'll be released in paper and on Magic Online, and boosters will be $7 in Magic Online, and it is not currently slated to come to Arena.
So boosters will be $7 on Magic Online, but There's no MSRP.
There's no MSRP for
because
retail
just
anymore.
last week they canceled MSRP.
Right, I forgot about that.
But if a pack is $7 on Magic Online, it's usually $15 on paper, right? Like,
Yeah.
like
So
how
this is
much
a
was
Masters-
Eternal? Like
Yeah.
what did Eternal Masters cost on Magic Online? I don't know. I haven't actually played Magic Online in a while, but like a normal pack on Magic Online is like $3.50 or $4,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's a premium price pack.
They haven't, as of yet, announced any. I assume as part of this announcement, they will spoil a card.
Right.
But if they are going to, that hasn't happened yet.
And the release dates once again, it's June or it's July?
I'm sorry, they just previewed a card.
Oh.
Sorry, what was your question, Nelson?
Oh, just when the release date was. It's
June 14th.
June 14th. Cool.
Oh, that's right before my birthday.
Nice. Happy birthday.
I know.
I can't-
I got a sweet present for you.
I can't wait to see what Alex makes of this card.
Okay.
Cabal Therapist.
Okay. Okay.
I'm listening.
It's a rare, single black mana, creature, horror, 1/1, menace. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may sacrifice a creature. When you do, choose a non-land card name, then target player reveals their hand and discards all cards with that name.
That sounds pretty sweet.
That sounds awesome.
Sounds great for Highlander. Oh, there.
That's
So
the-
there's
so that's
Cabal
Cabal
Therapy.
That's a spell it can cast. The flashback. It can
Yeah.
cast the flashback.
Yeah, we don't. I don't have a card image for it yet, but it was just announced.
Nothing
I wonder-
feels as good as getting the soul read with Cabal Therapy. There's
I wonder-
nothing in this game.
If they're gonna do a cycle then like this that is spells like iconic spells stapled to a creature type.
Yeah,
like
maybe-
the Magus of
Yeah, the mega cycles.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe we'll have a 2-mana 1/1 that sacrifices to give you 3 black mana.
You mean Blood Pet?
Well, Blood Pet is a 1 black mana 1/1 that sacrifices to give you 1 black mana, right? So that along the lines of Cabal Therapist, you're
Right, yes.
getting the powerful effects of Legacy, but they're slowed down a bit
By
somehow, right? You know,
Right,
like
yes.
this is a 1/1 kind of 1/1.
Hey, Paul, if you
that
wanna check out-
then needs to sacrifice a creature.
If you want to check out Mythic Spoiler, it's probably up there because I'm seeing it pop up on Twitter. I just have no way of sending it to you.
And it's
maybe
it's a
we'll
creature.
find Mana Drainer.
Perfect.
What other?
Hey, that's already a card. It's only 6 mana.
What other card names can we turn into? The spells can we turn into creatures? Cabal Therapist,
Like
is
Dark
amazing.
Ritual.
Lightning Bolter.
Well, that's
Lightning
already modern
Boltion.
kids.
Yeah.
As new,
Healing Salvion.
new
Ancestral Recaller.
yeah. That's what we want.
Yeah.
new magic card and new Pokemon from Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're putting them together.
Lightning Boltion. I love it.
That sounds sweet though. I'm pumped for this. Like I'm not a modern paper player or anything like that, but I do play a couple of Eternal formats. So that's exciting.
Have they told us yet? I wonder how the packs will be packaged. Will they be in boxes of 36 packs?
Well, if
Will
it's-
there be a foil in every pack?
I don't have
this
that
is sort
information.
of like I had a conversation with a friend of mine last night just after the draft that we had at YJ. It was like, what do you think they're going to do instead of a master set? And he just said a master set, and like the packaging and whether there's a foil in every pack kind of.
Wow, that guy looks gross.
Does look pretty gross.
That's
He's like crawling through the artwork of Ex Nihilo.
And he has a cyst for a head.
yeah. Also,
I-
little thing. I actually really dig on the set symbol.
Set symbol school.
It looks really neat.
Yeah.
It's very similar to like the last like Modern Masters sort of symbol.
By the way, this is a big set. This is a full size 254 cards.
254 cards.
Yeah.
The card numbers.
This is gonna. I have to assume this is gonna shake up Modern in some way. If it's only reprints that are new to Modern and new cards
Yeah,
legal in Modern.
Sounds like it's going to have modern turned on its head.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, maybe
would
we'll be
guess.
seeing. Can you make fixed versions of cards that they've had to ban in Modern that have put some decks out? Like, would we be able to see a fixed version of something like Twin?
Right.
Well,
Maybe.
so,
I mean, can
so
you
that
fix those cards?
That was kind of the thing, right? Was like I think that sort of harkens a little bit to when they were waffling on banning Felidar Guardian and Sahelian Standard because it skipped a banhammer once, and a lot of people were like, I think questioning like, why is Twin fine in Standard but not in Modern?
right.
And then eventually they were like, no, wait, we'll ban that. And they ended up doing it. And I don't know, it's it's a really powerful effect that I don't know how you don't
Yeah.
make it suck, because it's like, for example, Vanifar.
I got to tell you this, by the way.
Whoa!
What?
Sarah.
It's gonna be a planeswalker?
Sarah the Benevolent. We're live reacting to this as it's being announced.
Turns out
right
that's
now.
what our podcast is this week. Just us live reacting to last Thursday's announcement.
First of all, most importantly, Magali Villeneuve, very nice. Sorry. Secondly, Sarah the Benevolent is a planeswalker. 2 white for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. +2 creatures you control with flying get +1/+1 till end of turn. Sure. -3 make a Sarah Angel. Just make a 4/4 Angel token with flying vigilance. -6 you get an emblem with if you control a creature. If you control a creature, damage that would reduce your life total to less than 1 reduces it to 1 instead.
That is so. She gets to her ultimate after 1 uptick.
I
Is
can't even remember the name of the planeswalker that this is just a better version of.
There's a bunch of them.
Theros.
A Johnny?
No.
Elspeth?
Elspeth?
Yeah.
Well, which
4 mana
Elspeth do you think
Elspeth.
this is better than?
Well,
the jumpy one.
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking of?
Well, I mean, like, not literally, but
Yeah, I mean, it's similar. It's got the same mana cost, right? And it pumps creatures and makes creatures and then gives you an emblem that helps you win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is like a bunch more raw power than Elspeth Knight Errant. Also originally from Shards of Alara, but she died on Theros, so she's very
Yes.
connected to Theros.
well, actually, we don't. Elspeth doesn't know where she's originally from.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I just mean she was first printed on Shards of Alara. Not that she's from Shards of Alara, but that was... Or does she think she's from Theros?
She knows that she was from someplace that was devastated by the Phyrexians.
Oh, neat.
That tracks.
Yeah. So I don't think we know currently. But
Okay.
holy
Sweet.
moly, Sarah is a planeswalker.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's pretty rad.
Fans have been asking for it for decades, right? Well,
Dang.
no.
Looks powerful.
Yeah, you can have. There's been decades of Magic.
Well, there have been decades of Planeswalkers, though.
That's true.
When do we get a Sarah card, though? I think has been
Right.
yeah.
And then
Make
finally
Sarah
we
a
get
card,
one.
So here we go.
Make
Wow.
Sarah a card.
Wow.
make
Oh,
Sarah a
she
card,
is.
you cowards.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for my Yawgmoth.
Okay, this card looks good. So both these cards we've seen, I think, are playable in Modern for sure. Like
Yeah.
this does shake up Modern a bit already.
I
I'm
have
really
to
curious what the reprints are
assume-
going to be.
I have to assume that's going to be their like marquee one that they're going to spoil. So I'm going to stop looking at the thread for now. Great, and we can check back in before the end of the
Yeah.
stream. But this is big. This is very exciting.
Already, I think this set's going to do a good job of selling packs, and it's going to probably do a good job of getting people to try stuff. And I'm really curious to see if it's going to do a good job of changing the archetypes around, or if it's just going to kind of be like these cards come out and they're cool, and then like a lot of sets, it's like, okay, so one of these cards goes into Burn, and one of them goes into Tron, and
I'd love-
and the decks are kind of the same. Yeah,
I'd love to see
We'll see.
this set somehow maybe break down a little bit of the barrier to Modern. I don't know if it's going
like
to
the
be
entry
able
fee
to.
barrier.
A
you
little
mean?
bit the entry fee.
Well, the
but
packs are
it's
$7 on
absolutely
Moto.
I could absolutely see like these cards not only like a couple going into existing decks, but generating new decks that
Yeah.
are hopefully have a lower barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Sure. I think that would be a great goal for them to be striving towards, and I hope they achieve it. That'd be awesome. There's going to be a Pro Tour in London, Mythic Championship, that's on the weekend of the release of War of the Spark.
Oh right.
And they're going to play 3 rounds of draft of War of the Spark on day 1 and day 2, and then on day 1 and day 2, follow it up with 5 rounds of Modern without War of the Spark. And I think while they do all of this, in all of the rounds, they're going to be testing out a new mulligan.
Yeah.
Where instead of going down to 6, you stay at 7, but you will have to put 1 card on the bottom, and then to 5, where instead of going to 5, you go to 7.
Yeah, so you draw 7. If your 7 is terrible, then you draw another 7.
Yeah.
And you can say that you want to keep that, but then you have to put 1 of the cards away, and or you draw another 7, and then you have to put 2 of them away, and so you
so
still only end up with 7, 6, 5, 4 cards, but you get more selection.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see them experimenting with new ways of trying to eliminate the non-games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like
It
the
sounds
feels
interesting.
bad mulling to 4 in PTs.
Yeah, the
right?
unwatchable games that are they're also the same games that give you the most frustration as a player, right? Where you're just like, well, this wasn't a game, but
Yep.
I would, if they go ahead with it, I'd be sad to lose the Vancouver Mulligan.
Of course,
But
of course.
the London Mulligan is also
Sounds good.
It looks interesting.
Is also interesting. Yeah, some people were saying that
I got
there's
confused. I
something
thought
that
they were starting it sooner. I thought it was going to be the Cleveland Mulligan.
Maybe they changed it just to avoid the.
Yeah,
Cleveland
maybe they're like, we were
Mulligan.
going to do this weekend, but we
then
can't
you gave
have
it a
the
gross
Cleveland
name and you
Mulligan.
broke it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly.
Apparently, this is something that they experimented with a while ago and decided that it didn't work, and then experimented a whole bunch again internally, and evidently decided that it does in fact have legs. But they're testing it at this event as well. So
I like that they're going to test it in modern.
that's going to be a weird event.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, like I remember when the Vancouver Mulligan came along, and people were like, "Well, this is just going to make Delver way too powerful in formats
Right.
where you can play Delver."
And it didn't.
And
that
it
didn't do
didn't.
that at all. Yeah.
Because it turns out when you scry that land to the bottom, and then you get your Delver out, and the next turn you reveal a land,
Yeah.
it's still the same.
Yeah. So, we'll check back in to see if there's more Modern Horizons news at the end. But, Ben,
Yeah.
so people ask us and you often about sort of what your process is for brewing these commander decks that you bring in for yourself and others to play more commonly on the Friday night paper fight. And in the absence of bringing in your entire collection that you build from, you have brought a deck that you built for this.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were like, hey, we want to do an episode of Tap Tap where you talk about building a commander deck, and you were like, cool, I'm going to build a commander deck.
Yeah.
So how many, if any, commander decks do you maintain assembled?
0.
So you're always making new stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, brewing is probably my favorite part of Magic. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination like a brewing savant, or like I don't have the ability to look at like a set coming out and be like, this is what deck I'm gonna make or whatever.
Right.
I just get like vague ideas and then I start putting cards together.
So if we were to say this is not like a teaser for a thing that's going to happen, but this is a hypothetical. So it's like, hey, we want to do a Friday night paper fight this Friday. All 4 of us who are currently on the podcast are going to play, and the other 3 of us don't have commander decks nor the time to make ones. Ben, can you make 4 commander decks? What are you going to do first?
So I have a step-by-step system.
Awesome.
A little bit. So first thing that I'll usually do is, if we're just talking about specifically in these instances, and people can extrapolate, I guess, if they want from how to take that into their own setting. But I'll ask like, what colors would you guys like to play? Do you have a theme? Do you have anything like that? And 9 times out of 10, people will say, I don't know, but red's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So then I'll start the process, which begins with me starting with gold cards and moving through the rest of the colors, taking out any sort of legendary creatures that spike my interest in that. And I'll just like start pulling out ones that seem like they might have a fun idea, or things maybe that are a little bit straightforward based on maybe a criteria that I was given.
And this is from your collection,
My collection,
rather than just the breadth of Magic.
Yeah, because a lot of the times we'll like, I mean, we do a monthly meeting and we figure out things in advance, but it is not a feasible thing for me to buy new cards every time we want to do something.
No,
so a lot of the
of course
times
not.
these are not the ideal versions of the deck that I could probably make, but they are fun decks that are competitive from like the collection, and definitely like I've eventually just invested in cards that are important to the format, and my collection has grown from that. But yeah, a lot of the times I'm just going to build it from my collection. So as an example, I brought a bunch of other cards and stuff like that, but three cards that would pique my interest in something.
Right.
And a great example of this, because this is actually one that Kathleen ran on a Friday Night Paper Fight, is TTC Brood Tyrant. And Sidisi is really neat because she has, for those of you guys who don't know, I should probably talk about her. Sidisi is a 3/3 for 1 and Sultai, which is green, blue, black. And when she enters the battlefield, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Whenever 1 or more creature cards are put into your graveyard from your library, put a black zombie creature token on your battlefield.
Nice.
So right away, that's a cool effect. And a lot of people, when I look at this card, I look at it going in a couple of directions. I think the one straight away that you'll identify as Sultai and is great for zombies.
Yeah.
And she makes zombies, and that's a really, really cool effect. And zombies can be played out of the graveyard, and it just all synergizes really well together. When I saw this card, going through my collection when I was building for that, I went, you know what'd be cool? An entire deck that plays out of your graveyard. Not Dredge specifically, but cards that are nothing but you can play this card from your graveyard in some way.
Ooh, I like
Right?
that.
So it had
things like Unearth and Flashback.
flashback,
yeah,
yeah,
all right.
retrace, like all these kind of effects. And so I built for Kathleen a deck that self mills, and you build everything out of your graveyard. And I try and do things that are, it's fun. It's fun to build probably the best deck that this could be, right?
Right.
Which would probably be the zombie build, honestly. Like she's a great zombie commander, but you can still make them very competitive. Like I think this deck ran like Snapcasters and stuff like that. Not all cards that are just there, but it also had reanimation and stuff in there. You could bring back some big spoopy Eldrazi or something like that.
I didn't see the stream. Did she get rest in peace?
No,
Yeah, well,
because I also
imagine-
balance them
yeah,
to make sure.
Yeah. I was going to ask, when you find yourself in the position of making all 4 decks for the stream, Sidisi notoriously, even in her own limited environment, you could draft Sidisi and then, game 1 you face somebody who drafted Anafenza and you're like,
Yeah, GG. Yeah. So I try and balance everyone's around one another. And then eventually sometimes you just find, like Kathleen eventually found that I had Worm Harvest in the deck, which is a very, very fun card. And she's slowly discovered that it was actually just with the amount of creatures and stuff that she had in there. Worm Harvest, of course, being for 2, and then split mana of Golgari 3 times. Sorcery, create a 1/1 black and green worm creature from token for each land in your graveyard with retrace. There was a lot of lands in her graveyard and from like dredging and stuff, and it just made more sense for her to retrace this every single turn. And she had like 56 worms or something like that. So yeah, that's an example of me going through, looking at a card and being like, this would be fun. And that was, I guess, to sort of come off a little bit, is the first thought that sort of comes to me is, what's the competitive level? Because Commander is one of those formats that, in my opinion, is one of the most, I guess not. It has a diverse range of opinions on what is Commander.
Yeah.
People have opinions on what is fun.
That's the thing, is because Commander is meant to be fun, but fun is different to a lot of people.
I think a lot of people have experienced somebody turn 2 storming off in Commander.
Yeah.
And to the person piloting it, that's fun. To the people who are against it, maybe it's not, or maybe it is. Maybe that's the competitive style format that you want to play.
well, Games Workshop had that problem forever with Warhammer 40K, where they're
right.
like, it's a casual game to enjoy with your friends.
What?
Just do the build fun casual list, and people are like, I find 8 Wolf Guards and Terminator armor fun as a 2,000 point list.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah, and that's the thing. So it's always a toss up. But what I try and do, especially when I'm making decks for this, is mix the competitive aspect with the with fun. Worm Harvest cycle, very, very strong. Kathleen had us on the ropes the entire game. But that's not the most busted thing you could do.
No.
Right? Like it's she's not ad nauseuming set of this deck or something like that, right? It's strong but still beatable. She gets just like you can get around this.
They are 1/1s. They died a hurly-burly.
Yeah.
Hurly burly, wow.
So that's
So you start with talking to people about if they do have anything in mind, generally not, and then sort of colors that interest them. You go looking for commanders in that color, and then you're just trying to build. You're like, what can I do with this commander? And maybe it's the obvious thing, and maybe it's not.
Yeah. So basically, I guess it's like 5 different categories for the cards that I'm grabbing. Starting with 1 is the commander staples.
Right.
So like, regardless of people's opinion on it, if you've got it, you should be running Sensei's Divining Top in every commander deck you play. I know how that's how it is, and you can choose not to.
I just know there's going to be comments that are going to like timestamp this moment of the episode and be like, this is when I stopped listening to Ben. I just know that's going to happen.
And that's the thing. That this is where you decide the level of competition.
Right.
Right? Sensei's Divining Top is a very strong card, and I know for a fact Josh Lee Kwai would back me up.
Oh, he probably would. That's because he's also a monster.
Yeah, but this is a card that can go into every commander deck. And if, let's say hypothetically, you're not, there's also the card, the great breaker of like Soul Ring, right? Like Soul Ring goes in every commander deck.
And it's way more powerful than Top.
Yeah. But top's the one that people have opinions.
It's because it slows the game down.
It does,
Yeah.
right?
If you don't like listening to your friends say, "Okay, I'll just top in response," why are you friends with them?
Yeah. Another great example of cards that should go in every commander deck is Lightning Greaves. Lightning Greaves commander staple needs to go into it just because you want to protect your commander.
Right.
Because a lot of people, if you're not protecting your commander, why are you playing commander?
I often forget to cast them.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? I guess that's where it goes. So like,
I'm like, oh yeah, I have a creature I can just cast at any point. I guess I should do that once ever.
yeah. So that's the staple of those are the staple cards that I will usually grab out first. I'm like,
Now, you
I'm
generally
going
don't put top in the decks that you build for Friday Night Paper Fight.
No.
Because, as I mentioned, it slows down the game.
Yeah, because you also, I guess, I also have to consider what is going to make a good streaming experience too. Tops in this deck though, because for those of you guys who don't know, I guess I had a bunch of other ones we talk about, but for the sake of brevity, because it's been a long podcast, let's just get right into the deck that we're talking about.
Felden of the Third Path.
Felden of the Third Path. So I built this deck because Reanimator is one of my favorite archetypes in Magic. And Felden is kind of like Reanimator, but not really. So Felden is a 2/3 for 1 red legendary creature human artificer. And for 2 and a red and tap, you put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of target creature card in your graveyard. Except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. It gains haste, and you sack it at the beginning of the next end step. So this card, the deck is basically going to revolve around putting things in your bin, like a Reanimator deck, bringing those creatures back at instant speed or back without having to pay their absurd mana cost, and getting some sort of benefit out of them. And so not necessarily, bringing out something immensely scary, even though there are those cards in this deck, but it also it's focusing on cards that have enter the battlefield triggers and death triggers.
So Wormcoil Engine.
Wormcoil Engine is absolutely in here. So
Oh, sorry.
No, yeah, go for it.
Sundering Titan, or is that banned?
Sundering Titan is banned in Commander.
Correctly.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I'm glad. Okay, yes.
The Commander Rules Committee has at least made that call on what is or is not fun.
Yeah. So Wormcoil Engine is an example of a card that is good when you reanimate because it gets haste. You're going to probably gain 6 life. And also, this fits into the category of creatures dying and having some effect on the board because now you get worms that stay. So the next category, basically, after you have the staples, are cards that would be good, just good in the deck. Wormcoil Engine is an example of that. I have, like I said, big scary things. Pathrazor of Ulamog, which is like the example of the big scary thing. It's a 9/9 with Annihilator 3 and can only be blocked by 3 or more creatures.
Are you my wife?
And so that's an example of just a big burly creature. It doesn't necessarily have an ETB effect. It's just strong. One spicy one that's a lot of fun, Combat Celebrant, which also has like combo sort of things where it's
if you're going to sack it anyway, you don't care if you exert it.
No, and so you get extra combat phases where you can swing in with other things and stuff like that.
Wow.
Right.
So I got to ask in this deck specifically. This is not like a broad your building philosophy question. This is just for this deck. Beyond Felden, what sort of like red reanimation is there, or does this rely a lot on Felden?
Felden is a main part of it, but there are specific cards in there. Oh my gosh, there it is. Yeah, I made sure to grab it. Goblin Welder is a great one of it. So Paul can probably Goblin Welder, where you choose target artifact a player controls and target artifact in the graveyard, and you swap them.
Okay.
So you can swap your Soul Ring into a Wormcoil Engine.
Right.
Right, that's in your bin.
Or if you happen to have Goblin Welder out when you have something reanimated by Felden, you can sacrifice the artifact creature you've made with Felden and turn it into an
Something
actual
else
artifact that will stick
stays
around.
permanently.
Right.
Yeah. There's also things like Trash for Treasure. This is obviously a very artifact-heavy deck. But Trash for Treasure is 2 and a red sorcery as an additional cost. Sack an artifact, return target artifact from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's like a red tinker.
Yeah, yeah. So
it's got to be in your bin already, but
Or another Goblin Welder activation.
Well, I guess, yeah.
So that's kind of the aspect of it. There are also just like fun cards like Anger, which you're going to put in your bin anyway. That it just gives everything, as long as you have a mountain, creatures you control have haste.
I was gonna make a comment on the art for Anger, but Paul's got the previous or a more recent version of the art. Yeah, he looks like a furious baby.
Yeah, little angry baby. I had to run that one.
His diaper burned off, and he's mad about it.
Yeah, so those are examples of cards that are like, this works with exactly what I'm doing. Then I go with the cards that would just be kind of fun and interesting. So it's cards like Hoarding Dragon. Hoarding Dragon is effectively in this deck kind of like a tutor in a way, because you can bin Hoarding Dragon and then reanimate it, and you get to go search your library for any artifact card, exile it underneath it, and then at the end of your turn, you're sacking it with Feldon, and that artifact goes into your hand. Right? So it's like, it's a weird...
Spicy.
Yeah, it's a weird sort of tutory effect that you can run. That's not the best. Like, Gamble is in this deck, right?
You're right.
But it's fun and it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
But Ben,
Yeah.
he said, looking at the card that was on top of your deck there, how are you discarding cards?
Well, Graham, I'm so glad you asked. I have a lot of wheel effects in this deck.
I was going to ask.
Yeah. So in this case, we're talking about Reforge the Soul, which is...
Because you don't have an actual Wheel of Fortune.
I don't have a Wheel of Fortune, but if you have a Wheel of Fortune, put it in this deck.
Yeah, all right.
I do have Magus of the Wheel in here.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, Reforge the Soul, Miracle cost is 1 and a red, and each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards. There's also just easier effects to run as well, like Cathartic Reunions in this. Wild Guess is in this deck. Cards that are going to help you bin. There's also lands like Gyre Reach Sanitarium.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Which lets everybody rummage in there. Like, obviously, I would replace that with like a Bazaar, a Baghdad.
Right,
That would be a better example, honestly, of a card to run in that. But again, building from what I have. So those are the kind of effects, and that's in Faithless Looting's in here too.
Would you run Goblin Lore?
You could consider it. I mean, the random aspect I noticed in the times that I had this deck brewed for when we had our vacation. And I tested it out a little bit there, and it was not overpowering, which was really good because I had built Vanifar prior to that, and she is very strong.
Real good.
Really strong. Turns out having a pod as your commander is really good. But
It's a pod that blocks.
But yeah, it's just kind of a fun, goofy thing. So then we move into the pet cards that you want to run that might not necessarily be good, but will be great on stream.
Oh my god.
And you better believe I got Tybalt in this deck.
You're running little Tibbers.
I'm running Tybalt in this deck.
doing
you
his
asked about
best.
Goblin Lore.
Yeah. Because this is a card that does what I want it to do, but it's
you're lucky.
not the best. But he's fun.
No one's going to go out of their way to kill Tybalt.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he's
people are
going to
be like,
that you resolve
"No,
that's not going to be
really? Tybalt?"
intimidating. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So like you get to do the draw and discard a card at random. 9 times out of 10, the cards that I have in my hand, I want to go in the bin anyways. Kind of feels like a Hollow One deck a little bit in those ways. And that's kind of what I use him for. And I have ulted him before, and turns out that effect is actually pretty strong in Commander.
The ultimate is, by the way, if you're not familiar with Tybalt, the Fiend-Blooded, red for a 2 loyalty planeswalker, oft maligned. +1, draw a card, discard a card at random. -4, deals damage equal to the number of cards in target player's hand to that player. Fun if your opponent has like Reliquary Tower or something. -6, gain control of all creatures until end of turn. Untap them, they gain haste.
He's goofy. So yeah, those are kind of like the pet cards that go into it. And I said 5, but it was really more like 4. But those are the categories that I sort of put cards into it. I mean, I guess the last one that I would put is cards that can interact with your opponents, because this is all kind of stuff that you sort of do on your own.
Right.
But when it comes to streaming, it's cards that I can use to interact, that we can use to interact with your opponent, but not stop them from getting to do what their deck sort of wants to do,
right?
Necessarily. Like, you definitely want to stop somebody's game plan, I think, a lot of the time. But you don't. I put an example of this on Twitter the other day when we did our Ravnica guilds fight. I played Izzet, and it was a very counter Bernie style deck, and I felt the most scummy when I countered your commander.
Yeah.
Really? Because like I always assumed that countering the commander was a bad play.
because they can recast it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like memory lapse. It's always memory lapse.
Yeah, right. But I guess it depends on what they're, because it's like for me, if somebody had countered Melik, who is a 6 mana planeswalker, paying 8 mana next time honks,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And in those instances, the first time Melik died, I didn't cast him again. 'Cause I
Yeah,
was like, this is just, I do so many other things for all this mana I would spend on you, and so it's like. I guess the main thing that comes to me with Commander is I want everybody to be able to do what their decks want to do, not completely steamroll over with no interaction.
No.
But everybody should be able to experience what the deck has to offer that they've brought to the table. And I feel like whenever we do those, that everyone's deck does a thing. At some point in a lot of our streams, everybody becomes the arch enemy, the scary person at some point. Right, and I think that's what a commander game is. I
can definitely see that it's like, everyone, spells are powerful, spells need to be countered, and it's like I cast this thing that's going to mess up a bunch of stuff, like, well, okay, I got to counter that, I get it. But I can definitely see the it's like, I counter your commander, so it's war then.
Yeah, right,
It's
yeah,
like I could definitely see how that would feel punitive. Yeah.
So I guess to sort of summarize, because we sort of went through it all really kind of quickly, the process that I do for building Commander is first go through, find an idea that you have that you think would be interesting, and analyze from that idea what sort of play style you're looking to have. Are you trying to build the competitive deck that is you're going to take to a Mythic championship?
Of Commander format.
Yeah, well, like, are they still called Mythic Championships? And then you do side events, because they do like Commander and stuff like that at GPs.
It's I'd heard they were going to do the Mythic Championship at Magic Fest.
Okay, so it's
Right.
Magic Fest.
Yeah,
So
Magic Fest
right,
is
so
the new name for the whole
yeah.
GP week.
So if you're going to the Commander events at a Mythic,
Where there's
or
prizes and maybe you
at
pay
a Magic
to-
Fest.
at a Magic Fest,
Those are actually a Commander tournament.
and those are the ones where you're going to run into the. Or are you just looking on a Friday night to hang out and play with your friends
And still be friends afterwards.
Exactly, and it's all about figuring out. There are play groups that I've talked to that are like, we just don't use Soul Ring in our group. It's not banned, but we just decided not to. And you're like, cool. That's an example of finding the niche. So once you've done that, find the card that you think would be great, that would fit into that, and then take the cards that are Commander staples. There are a lot of people that talk about Commander staples.
Yep.
Look at those. Take the cards that are going to be great and synergize with it. Take the cards that are going to be okay and do something neat. And then take the cards that are just fun.
Yeah.
That you would like to see
a little.
resolve. Because that's
Give yourself a chance to have some fun times.
yeah. Because
give yourself a gift.
at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I know that there are people that take Commander very seriously, and this isn't in any way to belittle that kind of thing. But it's just supposed to be a fun, goofy format, I think, at times, and like that's how I've always looked at it.
I assume, brief aside, in a non-monocolored commander deck that Command Tower would be in your staples as well.
Yes, Command Tower, yeah. And there are even like this deck runs Command Sphere, which is it's 3 mana for you can tap it to add any color equal to your commander's.
It's just
casting
right.
cost.
It's a Command Tower mana rock.
Yeah,
Okay,
and you
right.
can sack it to draw a card, but it's really just in here because it's an artifact that draws you a card as well, and is neat. But yeah, it's have fun with it. Take a look at a card that you look at. Melik is up there right now. It looks like it'd be you'd play it as a Spells Matters deck, but maybe you do it as like something that involves duplicating your creatures or something like that. Maybe have copy effects and whatnot. That could be an interesting way to take it. One card that I did bring as an example was Vile Smasher, who's from a precon, who's the Rakdos Goblin who throws things at people.
Right.
And you look at that card and it'd be like, well, I just dome people out with big things. How am I going to get to the big things? Probably ramp into them. But an idea that I had when I looked at it was like, it'd be cool. Run this as maybe like an energy package in some way. Get out a Aether Sphere,
Harvest.
or not the Aetherworks Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh.
Aether Marvel.
Yeah,
Aether-
because it's a casting trigger.
and then cheat
off
out of
that
that
and
spell?
then cheat out a
Goodness.
big spell.
Nice.
That sounds
sounds
sweet.
fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, take a card, spit it on its head, and make it fun, because I think that's the best part about Commanders. You can do goofy, weird stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Hopefully that provided a quick little bit of insight into my process.
If you want to disagree with Ben's philosophy on Commander, you can hit him up on Twitter.
Yeah, and
at Bengineering TV.
and the deck list is up on Tapped Out. Every deck that I make for our streams is on my Tapped Out. It's just Bengineering.
We'll put it in the description of this video or of this episode on the YouTube version as well.
Thanks for sharing your process.
Yeah.
So
thanks for letting me share.
I said we would check in on Modern Horizons. The stream is over. There were no further cards spoiled.
Okay.
But we do know that multiple Magic Fests will be Modern Horizons limited. So Washington D.C., Copenhagen, and Seattle, which is exciting for us. Not that I don't know if we're going. I think actually.
When is Magic
I
Fest
don't remember.
Seattle?
I think I'm unable to go. But the point is, they will be Modern Horizons limited. So that will be, I guess, sealed, even though it's a draft design set, because typically limited GPs are sealed, so you don't have to keep drafting throughout the whole day. And something else that I just learned, because it popped up on my Twitter, I mean, I knew that this was happening, but I didn't know that we'd be able to announce it during the show, is that we can confirm we will be doing a pre-release
Oh boy!
for Modern Horizons.
Sounds like it'll be draft.
I didn't, yes, probably. I didn't, to be clear, I wasn't like faking anything. Literally, all I knew is that they were going to announce something and then we'd be doing a pre-release. We'd be doing a PPR for it. I didn't know any of the details I read out during this stream. I was learning it all at the same time as you, but I knew we'd be doing a PPR, and so now it's actually announced. So that'll be exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. I guess that'll be at the beginning of June. Hey, birthday present for me.
Yeah.
So, thanks for joining us for this jam-packed episode of Tap Tap Concede. A reminder that Tap Tap Concede is brought to you by Card Kingdom. Check out cardkingdom.com/LRR. That little thing on there lets them know that we sent you over there. And if you don't put that on there, or if you do, either way, you should also say, Loading Ready Run sent me button, please. And they'll give you a little 1-inch button, which currently says auto tap, concede.
Yes.
For those who have suffered through that happening in Arena, I definitely missed Lethal once the other day by not paying attention. Whoops. Whoopsie doops. And of course, this show and everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. So until next time, I've been Graham.
I've been Cameron.
I've been Ben.
I'm still Nelson.
And we will talk to you again from the new studio next week.